food. Thank you for coming. Those of you that don't know me, my name is Maureen McAlpine, and I'm the president of the Abington Education Foundation. Tonight we will present the Abington school systems with over $20,000 in grants that we hope will enhance the quality of education to all the students of Abington. One of all of the members submitted. Each grant is carefully reviewed, discussed, and voted on for approval. We ask ourselves, how will this grant improve the students' understanding of education or personally and academically? And we thank you for submitting grants that we can achieve. I am honored to work with all of the board members. There's a few that aren't here tonight, but I want to Jim Coughlin, who is unable to make it. You have Kathy Riley. Raise your hand, Kathy. Steve DeGrenier, John, Dave Kinneberg, Becky Stutzman, Kim McCann, who's in Boston, and she's looking to get a train just to come here. And Michelle Christian Olden, and our new student representative, Brian Nickley. So I want to thank each and every one of them for their dedication to the education. Each of these members brings expertise to the board, yet we all have the same philosophy on enriching children's life. And I do need to note that I don't know for the Abington school systems. Either they've gone through the school systems or they're just members of the school systems. And I think that is amazing. Superintendent Peter Schaefer, for all of his work that we do, and the Assistant Superintendent Dr. Thomas. The AEF appreciates all your support. And I thank immensely Teresa Minahan for her support for the AEF. She's an amazing asset to, I think, the Abington school system. I want to thank school committee representative Jan Larry. She's been coming to our meetings, and it's a great insight that we can connect what's going on with the schools. And Kathy Bailey, thank you. Paul Haggerty and Mike Carell. As a parent and AEF member, I want to thank you for helping our school systems. Thanks to Christy Coombs and the Coombs Foundation, Abington Bank, and of course, Bill Davis, who this time to bring off the field. On the table, I letter that you'll see. Started this, and she also started a Facebook page. Those of you on Facebook, you can check it out. I know nothing about Facebook, but I guess you like us. You'll see the grants that we approved last year. We have upcoming events and important information. The goal is to print the newsletter. I'll probably send out a constant contact with it too. And this year we have some our new and old fundraisers I'll just talk about briefly. Our biggest, which is golf tournament, which is Monday, September 23rd, this Monday at Riverbend in West Bridgewater, with lunch to follow with the Charlie horse. And I'm sure you've seen the constant contacts that me who loses. We were trying to do something different this year in collecting raffles and not just going always directly to the businesses. Each classroom, a theme. Each class grade a theme in a baskets. And I put them on your table. And if anybody great response from it. I'm very impressed, honestly, with the response that we've had from some of the grades with their, and I thank everybody for their help. We're doing a boot camp, which we did last night. It's fun, and it's for 5 weeks, and we're hoping to offer different types of classes throughout the year. They'll enhance people's exercise, nutrition, anything. So if anyone has any idea here. We're also, in November, we're doing a trivia night, November 22nd at the KSC. It's an enjoyable night for friends and family to get together and test their trivia ability. And if more information will be coming on. 5th grade family feud night. I did ask my grade, so I have to, no. That wasn't in the speech. So but last year, Mrs. Ryan's class won it, and they got a pizza party, and that's night. Forward to it when they turn in 5th grade. They get T-shirts. They support each other as a team, and I definitely want to thank the Woodsdale School, Mr. McCurtain, for all your work on this fundraiser. Thank you very much. And I also need to thank all of the school secretaries for all the work that they do in helping us send out constant contact. They're there for us. And one of our new exciting fundraisers, I don't think this has been done before around here, one of our members, John Hart, went to one. It's called A Night at the and it's going to be at the Abington Depot. It's going to be a fun night of viewing actual horse racing that has been videotaped, but nobody obviously knows the winner. And it's narrated by professional announcers. There's all the races, and it creates a racetrack atmosphere. Celebrate the Kentucky Derby early. We're not going to do it in May, we're going to do it in May. So more information on all those fundraisers will be coming as it becomes available. Now I'd like to recognize the new members since our last annual meeting. Who's not here? George Megan, who's not here. People do work. Michelle Christian Olden, thank you. And Michelle's been doing a great job at the Abington that she's been putting information about the AEF events, and we thank you for that. And Student Representative Brian Nickley. I want to thank him for taking his time out of his busy senior year. I'd like to move on to, every year we try to get speakers to talk about the grants that we've done. One thing as members, we love to hear feedback from grants, positive or negative. Did this help the students? Do they like it? Is there something else that could be done? Or just, wow, that was great, I'm glad we sponsored it. So this is one of our meetings. Robin Gilpatrick, who, before even applause, I have to say, my son had her for 6th grade last year, and here he said, could I please have her for the rest of my career?
And I would have her for the rest of his career as well. So first, I want to say thank you for inviting me. It's very nice to get an invitation. Places, and many that I have not yet met. A lot of your children have graced my classroom, and we've seen them at the Woodsdale School. I was asked to come and talk about a program. It's called Pyramids and Pharaohs. It is brought to us by a woman by the name of Paulette Morin, and she is in fact an Egyptologist. So when she comes with first-hand knowledge. She comes with because she's made this her life. The students file into the cafeteria and find that she has set up a table with realistic artifacts from the finds in Egypt that I wish I could go. In fact, Paulette used to, I don't believe she's doing it any longer, she used to run tours with educators to travel the Nile. See, I'm always quite jealous. Listen to her talk. She'd select a student to run the computer while she has a PowerPoint going. The artifacts are laid out, and their opinion as there's dozens. And then she lets them touch things, and she lets them wear things, and she dons them with armbands and makes them look like pharaohs, and she gives them the headdresses, and they look like Cleopatra, and they're also a moment. She tells stories. She talks about dying and having your own schwapties to go to the afterlife with, and we all joke about what I would do for us. I do the gardening so I don't have to get my nails dirty in the next life. But she talks about these things with such vigor and such enthusiasm and realism that the kids really buy into it. It is very informational, interactive. She ends her presentation by talking about King Tut. There's a little miniature bust of him, and the kids hear all about the stories and the mysteries that surround King Tut. And probably the most interesting piece maybe, or the most memorable piece for many of the students afterward, herself all whirling about with one phrase. Is it a curse or a coincidence? And she says it over and again, and the speed of her voice and the volume of her voice goes up, and you hear all these kids chanting, it's a curse! And she'll say, or is it a coincidence? Oh, it's a coincidence! Because they're not really sure which of her answers is correct. They buy into it. They are so enriched by her experience and her sharing. Brought to the students to care enough to enhance their education. As a classroom teacher, she offers us resources. And she's just a wonderfully fun person to listen to, and you can sense her love of Egypt. By the time we return to our classes, the kids are all hooked, and they want more than nothing to color these pictures and to get ready for. In my class, we do the Festival of the Nile, and they bring so much of what they learned with Paulette to that adventure as well. So on behalf of grade 6, for years now, we really thank you for pyramids and pharaohs, and we thank you for all of the other things that you do for us. It's just a blessing to have you folks, and knowing that you're in the community backing us and all that we do in the classroom is really quite special. So I was quite ingratiated by saying thank you. Graciously, I thank you for inviting me, and carry on. That's it. Oh, you're fine, honey.
Thank you very much. The next speaker we have is Joan Smith. One thing I'm personally very proud of is that as AEF, we really look at the big picture of the student in the community. And some things are easier to talk about or hard to talk about, but we try to help them out. So here's Joan.
Thank you for having me here. What I come to talk about is the suicide prevention presentation that was held back in May. Unfortunately, because of recent tragedies that we've experienced in the community. And I had the opportunity, when I was attending the school nurse conference, to listen to the director of the program. And little did I know I was going to request the services in just a short amount of time. The Riverside Trauma Center, who I contacted, the director, Dr. Berkowitz, I spoke with Mr. Jim McCauley, who's the associate director, and he was able to come out and do this presentation. And the Riverside Trauma Center, if I can give a little bit of a background, is part of the Riverside Community Care, and they're there for communities in times of need, in times of death, natural disasters, anything that may happen to any one of us at any given time. And the Riverside Trauma Center provides support, trainings, screenings, and consultation to communities also when there is a suicide death, and it also helps communities work proactively towards prevention. And people were notified of this program in the community because after this recent tragedy, I had been approached by members of the community, faculty, parents, kids, to bring together an opportunity to have a forum so that we could discuss this and not keep it inside ourselves, because we were grieving and we're still grieving today. And we were trying to get as many people as we could through newsletters, through press releases, Michelle, constant contact Again, thank you, Teresa Minahan. And the school letters and also emails and word of mouth. And when Mr. McCauley came, I was myself blown away with the resources and the information that he shared that evening. And he spoke about suicide prevention while he showed a slide presentation. And the number of attempted suicides and suicide deaths to me was staggering. We have to do something for these kids. He discussed the risk factors, the warning signs of depression, suicide, what to look for, and also, which was great as an offering, would come to the schools and in the community to offer people, lay people in the community that don't have training as of yet, using a tool called the QPR, which is ask questions of a person that may need help, persuade that person to get the help that they need, and refer to help. And that's where, as a school nurse and in the community, we have resources available in the schools for these kids and for the adults, because it's not only the children that have the grief and the suffering. And he also discussed trainings that are offered to personnel that work in the schools for evaluating answers that these kids fill out a questionnaire that are in the schools. And I would offer this to the older children. And then what we would do is we would evaluate their answers and we would determine their need if they needed to be screened in for further help or resources. And then if not, thankfully, and hopefully there wouldn't be many, if any, but again, that tool would be there for us to help these children. He also discussed a self-assessment tool that's called SOS. I think some of you are probably aware of this, that it's a very popular screening tool that teachers could have in the health classes or perhaps phys ed classes. And this tool would allow the child or the student to determine the need to be helped if they had a thought that they would perhaps have potential harm to themselves. And also he discussed peer trainings for those kids that, okay, what do I do with my friend who said she's going to hurt herself or he's going to hurt himself or they're going to do something to themselves. So this program, like I said, was just, to me, mind-blowing. All the resources that are here. And we have several brochures and pamphlets that we have in guidance offices and the nurses' offices throughout the district. And again, it's age appropriate. And unfortunately, that just occurred recently in my building, but thankfully we're getting the student the help that she needs. But she came to somebody, and thankfully, like I said, we were all there. And the student support team, which I'm so glad we had that forum that we could explain to parents what we have in the schools for these kids, because I don't think parents are aware of it, that we have such a support team at school. And this meeting that we had brought about this conversation, and unfortunately or fortunately, I think it was a great discussion, and you were there, Maureen, and it just, the parents that were there asked so many questions that I never thought that they had those questions. And I was like, wow. And I stepped back myself as a nurse and said, you know what, I didn't look at it from their perspective. And sometimes maybe I'm too clinical. But it was just such a wonderful opportunity to share that with the community. And we had about 25 people in attendance, and there were clergy. There was a gentleman from Samaritans who also offer help and services should anybody need it. And I requested the PowerPoint presentation from Mr. McCauley so that we could show that at our faculty meetings to other staff. Again, dependent on the needs of the children, but as a faculty, I think everybody should be aware of this. And then, like I said, pamphlets from the nurse's office, and we've also been in the process of purchasing plastic racks for all the restrooms in the school so that kids could have this information, and if they wanted to do it in privacy, that they could do so. But we have the numbers, we have the resources. And like I said, that was just a wonderful forum for us to share that information and get that out to the community as a whole. So again, it's a process that's going to take time for everybody to get trained, but I had so many staff and faculty come to me and said, okay, when's the next training? When can I do this? They're all willing to do it on their own time because they want to make sure that we're going to do the right thing. Again, unfortunately, if it does ever come up in a conversation. But again, knowing the signs, knowing the warning, the risks. So, like I said, I think it was a great opportunity. I've heard nothing but positive feedback from the presentation and from the speaker himself. And again, thank you, because like I said, the call for it was just a timely, unfortunately, matter that needed to be brought up. And it's awful. It's a horrible, horrible subject, but thanks to you and the support, we were able to bring that to the community. And it opened up, I think, the lines of communication between the staff, between, some kids, the clergy, with groups that they have in their houses of worship. And like I said, it's been a positive, feedback. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Amazing presentation, and when I was sitting there, I was mesmerized by it, but then I was thinking to myself, am I mesmerized by it because I'm a nurse too, or I'm looking around like, or is everybody else blown away by this? It was very good, and I thank you for bringing it to our attention. And the next we have Jim Dorman. Thank you. Dorman, I'm sorry. I'm a nurse.
All right, good evening. My name is Jim Dorman, and I am advisor for the Green Wave Gazette, Abington High School student newspaper. I want to take a few minutes to tell you about the newspaper and what it means to our students, and how we'll be using the generous grant from the Abington Education Foundation. The Green Wave Gazette is published in print form 5 times during each school year, and I left some copies around so you can take a look. We're very happy, we're very proud of our print version of the newspaper, and we hope you'll take a look at it. Each issue includes about 20 to 25 articles that are written by our student journalists that we hope our readers will find interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and even fun. We also hope that each issue is a positive reflection of all the great things that are happening at our school and the great work that our reporters are capable of. The newspaper is a co-curricular after-school activity. We have a small group of but growing staff. We had 18 in our first meeting, which is growing. Probably had about 7 or 8 last year. So very happy to see that. They develop story ideas, research, write, photograph, edit, sell advertising, do the layout, print, and distribute our paper. However, the Green Wave Gazette is also a school-wide effort. With the support and encouragement of many faculty members, almost half of our articles are written by non-staff contributors. I think that both staff writers and contributors feel proud when their work is published, and everyone seems to enjoy the articles. We get a lot of positive feedback for each edition that we publish. One of the reasons I think they feel proud is that even though we publish a printed version of the paper, as I said, we feel very, very proud of, we also publish an electronic version, and that is available on the internet to anyone with a search engine. Now, this, we're very lucky that we have a company in Braintree that donates services, or donates their labor. We get about 150 of these that get printed and distributed to the school and the public library, and we leave a few at a couple of businesses that do some advertising with us. And if we know anybody that wants to do any advertising with us, we would be happy to come up with some good rates for you. And that's great, but last year our webpage received 75,000 visits. And we've had over 240,000 visits since we've started. That means that the work of our students is not only getting published here and seen in Abington, in the community, it's going out to the world. Let's see, last year one of the articles was a music review by sophomore Michael Nickley. It was chosen by the American Society of News Editors, our former web host, for their national edition. And we've had 9 articles chosen for the national edition in total over the years. Another article by senior Michael Donaher, his opinion piece on legalization of marijuana, and Jackie Sloan's letter of thanks to Boston Marathon bombing hero Carlos Arredondo have found over 1,000 readers online. In Jackie's case, through the internet, her letter found its way to Carlos Arredondo's family and friends, and then to him. And he responded on our website personally to Jackie, and 2 weeks ago they met at Jeff Coom's. So many things are possible with the writing of our students. Many wonderful things have happened. Another article we had beginning of last year, was with Abington, homegrown Abington resident Mike Hazen, who's assistant GM of the Red Sox, and one of our students interviewed him. So it's just every issue has little stories like that, and great experiences for our student journalists. Unfortunately, we were informed at the end of last year that the American Society of News Editors were not going to be able to offer their free web hosting service any longer. So we had to find a new one. They referred us to and gave us a discount for a great site hosted by former journalists and high school newspaper advisors. It's called School Newspapers Online, and they're in Burnsville, Minnesota. They host many schools and high schools and colleges throughout the country. They provide a state-of-the-art web hosting service for a fee. Their site and hundreds of client pages looked amazing. Even though we liked our old site, it offered features that we knew we would want to have. We don't have a budget. We've only recently begun fundraising efforts for our advertising. And we did not have the $450 needed to get started until we received this grant from the Abington Education Foundation. So with the help of this grant, we will once again be able to publish the Greenway Gazette online, but now with the following features. A homepage showcase that will show off our work and our school, customized design options that will create a professional look for our website, our own domain name, greenwavegazette.org. That's easier, a lot easier than our old one to find. Staff member profiles that include the option to see each student's body of work, weekly traffic reports that will provide information about who's reading our paper, increased advertising capability that will help us with fundraising, customizable options for sharing photo galleries, slideshows, and videos produced by our students, surveys on current issues, and links to social media. It's really exciting. We've it up already. Just with the go-ahead from you folks, we've been able to get the system to be able to see it. We haven't customized it yet. We've added a few things, but it is already exciting. I showed some of the new students what it looked like today, and we're just really eager to get going and using it to see what we can do. The ideas just keep coming. We have a new video class, a media production class that the students are going to produce videos for it. We've already put our, I don't know if anybody saw the lift up video that Jack Malfronti was put together at the end of last year. That's already on the site. So, Abington High School is going out to the world through our site. So, I think the students thank you. I thank you. And read the Greenway Gazette.
Jim, I just have to say, and our fundraisers will be published there too, right?
Yes.
I'm always plugging a fundraiser. All right, so now we're going to have the members, each have grants that they will talk about. I'm just going to go around the table really, so I'll have Kathy Riley go first. Thank you. The first one that I get to present is called Promoting Writing in the Arts, Mystery Theater. And it was submitted by the Beaverbrook grade 4 teachers, as well as the TO and the principals and the reading specialists. So it was a big effort to put this in. And it was a rather large request, and it was actually a pretty large portion that we, bigger than our typical grants. We awarded $1,500 for this project, and it is a project. It's professional author Stephen Krasner will collaborate with 4th grade students and their teachers to create a mystery script which can be performed for families and students. He'll instruct during an English language arts writing period, teaching each class once per day for 3 days, and at the end of that time, a complete script of 12 to 16 pages will be provided. And then the students will be able to take character parts and perform the play for audiences, which could include students and families. It's an opportunity for project-based learning, which does fit in with the curriculum frameworks that you are working in, and it goes across the subject areas, which is another part we liked about it, ELA, music, and art, and it gives all the kids a chance to participate in creating and performing it, which we just thought that was a really creative way to integrate it. So we're looking forward, and hopefully we oftentimes try to get to things like that as a board so that we can see the grants in action. The second one I have to present is Science is a Hoot, which is an oldie but goodie that a lot of our kids have had the opportunity to do, and that basically over the years we bought the supplies to test the I guess it's the owl pellets, they call it, owl pellets. And the kids find all kinds of interesting things when they take apart the owl pellets. And so whoever, the parents always get kind of cool stuff that they find, like skulls and bones and things and that. So we did a grant for $150 to order the pellets for all of the 6th grade classes this year. So that's always a fun one. We know how much people enjoy that. The 6th graders enjoy it. Another one that has sort of a performance-related grant is The Monster Who Ate My Peas. And that was requested by it's for grades 1 and 2, requested by the Beaverbrook teachers. And Woodsdale, has had this touring theater, it's called Arts Power. And they do presentations or performances that have to do typically with character or address certain issues. And this particular one, The Monster Who Ate My Peas, is a musical that tells the story of a boy who doesn't want to eat his peas and helps the audience examine their own fears. The storyline helps children see how our choices build character and determine who we really are. So it's a really, I know Arts Power has been a good grant recipient and performers in the schools, and I'm glad to see that it's at Beaverbrook. So those are my grants. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Brian Nickley. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a senior at Abington High School. So I have 3 grants that pertain to the high school. Give some good insight as to those. First one I have is Shakespeare's Men and Women Visit Abington. This is for the 8th and 9th graders. It is 2 actors coming to the classrooms and performing scenes from Shakespeare plays such as Julius Caesar, Hamlet, and Othello. Shakespeare is an integral part of the freshman curriculum. I wish I had someone to break it down for me back then. No one really likes to read Shakespeare. Sorry, Dr. G.
It's okay, you're forgiven.
This is from Dr. G.
We'll sneak you in, Brian.
But yeah, so basically anyone coming in to basically break down and explain Shakespeare to you before you get it started, or even during it, help you to learn so much more than you possibly could have. Next one I have is performance of West African music for International Week at Abington High School. This is something we've been doing for a few years. I've only been here for 3, but all the years I've been here we've been doing it. This year is West African theme. It's a funk fusion group called Mama Dao that will introduce students to the complex rhythms, the traditional djembe, and the joyful sounds of the music from Dakar, Senegal. We usually do this 7th period on the last day of International Week, so it's a nice leisurely way to start the weekend, but at the same time, it's a great way that the students immerse themselves in the culture of another nation. I know it usually receives good reception from the kids I talk to. Everyone enjoys it, and it's a great way that we get to know about other cultures. Final one I have is the Shelby Lynn Allen Alcohol Poisoning Education Fund, otherwise known as Shelby's Rules High School Presentation. This will be for all the high school students, as well as I believe the 8th graders are coming to it. The Shelby's Rules is an alcohol poisoning foundation set up by the Allen family of California. Steve and Debbie lost their daughter Shelby to acute alcohol poisoning. I know they don't give you their story beforehand because they don't want to ruin it, so I don't know much about it. But if this is anything, like last year we had the Chris Herring presentation, and that went over so well. I don't know anyone who said anything negative about it. So if this is anything like that, and it can touch even just one life, it's going to be a hit, and it's going to give a lot back to the community.
Hello everybody, I'd like to on my own thank you for all the grant requests you put in. As Maureen said, we really do enjoy that night. It's a lot of fun going through them. It's kind of great we get to feel like Santa Claus and give up money. We do have to work for it and raise it to get there, but then we have our one night of giving it away. I really enjoy doing it. Some of you, my kids have been through your classes, been in the Abington school system for a while. I actually had a kid with a paying job now. I appreciate that. Thank you. In a couple weekends more, their whole apartment should be painted, so if anybody wants to continue helping. But we got there, so I appreciate the school system for that. I think it's a very positive thing to point out for the school system. You hear a lot of negative things about public schools. I think it works. I do have 3 grants. One of them is my absolute favorite. When we get them, we kind of score them. I just wrote yes on this one. It's Learning Buddies. It's really my favorite. The 6th grade and the kindergarten teachers all get together. The kids all work together. One of the reasons I love it is I remember in 6th grade doing something similar. And you really get to feel proud. As a 6th grader, I remember feeling very proud, working with, whether it was 1st graders or, I doubt there was kindergarten at the time. But you felt very mature and proud. It was a good opportunity, and the little kids just felt really good with those big kids. So I think it's just a great thing to do. It's a little more detailed than what I remember, but they have 3 visits throughout the year, and they teach each other. And I think it's just such a positive thing to help them learn and show that they've learned something and feel really good about what they're doing. Next one is Science-osaurus. And Science-osaurus is a kid-friendly resource guide for all major strands. It covers all major strands of the 4th grade science curriculum. It's a book that all the kids will get. There are science-linked access codes to offer links to relevant age-appropriate information on the internet, specifically designed to meet the National Science Education Standards. The book says, just say, yeah, I'm reading it exactly as it's written. The books, as well as the internet codes, would be available to all the 4th grade teachers. And, they've set up 30 books, and everyone will get those. Another very good grant we like, the Beaverbrook Elementary School Science Center. And I don't know if I said for Science-osaurus, it was for 4th grade. This one was presented by Jackie Murphy, and it's for the 1st grade, 2nd grade, and 4th grade. Kids will create and maintain an outdoor science center that will include hands-on experiences that relate to a variety of science, social studies, and health curriculum goals. They'll create and maintain garden, compost, and weather observation areas. The students will be able to participate in the development and upkeep of the science area. That's just a little synopsis of what it is, but again, they were all very good. We really enjoyed doing the grants and being able to get back something where we know that the budget can't always do everything. That's what I have.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is John Hart, and I don't have any kids in Abington. They grew up in Salem. And being here, being involved with something like this is very, very rewarding. I retired from a rather large, well-known school system in Massachusetts, and the excitement and the energy that I see in the Abington schools is comparable to any place that I've ever visited. So I want to thank you folks for everything that you're doing. The first two grants that I have here are science related, being an 8th grade science teacher, Beaverbrook. And the first one is, it talks about your own big dig. And when I was a youth way back when, I was lucky enough to meet Buckminster Fuller. I don't know if anyone knows who Buckminster Fuller was, but he's the guy who came up with the idea of the geocetic dome. And this is the first grant here is talking about the geocetic dome. So when I saw that right away, I remember I had a couple conversations with him and everything, and it was kind of interesting because he grew up on an island and he was blind. And he had to figure out how to take his rowboat across this inlet where I think was up in Maine someplace. So how many strokes it required him to get across so that he could actually pick up the mail and then come back again. So that was when I saw it right away, a geocetic dome. I said, whoa, I like that right away. So, and I have to say, the other person who I met that really influenced me was Doc Edgerton at MIT. For those who don't know Doc Edgerton, he was the man who came up during World War II with stop-action photography. The bullet going through the apple, the bullet going through the card, and it was quite amazing. And the other guy I like was Bill Nye, the science guy, so vote for him on Dancing with the Stars. Doesn't dance well. The second grant talks about simple machines. Again, this is Beaverbrook, and as a 8th grade science teacher, I was in a classroom that had lab tables. So I made my earth science curriculum, one day a week was always lab oriented. So the whole idea of doing hands-on discovery, getting involved, getting dirty, getting wet, that's right up my alley. So this grant here, talking about simple machines, they talked about Rube Goldberg. You may have to ask someone. And it talks about inventing something and all the different stages that you can do to get to that final invention that you have. Again, discovery. You know, sometimes it doesn't always work perfectly, but you can get in there and you can actually do it. And finally, we have a technology grant going up to the Furlio Middle School. They asked us if they could get an iPad. We know that technology is the thing. Originally they started off with 12. Now they're up to 16, and after tonight they're going to have 17. So thank you very much. I appreciate you being here.
Hi, my name is Cindy Porter, and I have 3 grants. The first one is The Wonderful World of Whales, and it's been submitted by Marion Dankeys in the 1st grade team. And this is actually an enrichment program, and it's put on by Science Sizzlers. This is the first time that this grant has been submitted. And basically, it's the children get to explore a model of a 70-foot fin whale. They actually get to go inside the whale. Basically, they tell the kids they get swallowed into the whale. And while they're inside, they get to compare the whale's characteristics to human anatomy. It's a hands-on program, and it aligns with the student study of animals and science. It's also done one class at a time so that the kids get to interact with the presenters, whom are all teachers. So they get to ask a lot of questions and get really involved with it. So we thought that was a really good one for the 1st grade team. My second one is Go Patriots, a math and science experiment. It's Katrina Park and the 4th grade team, and I was lucky enough to get picked to chaperone this last year. It is probably one of the best field trips that I've been on. It's at Foxborough, obviously. It was great. They go to Patriot Hall, and they get to do all the interactive, if you've ever been there, all the interactive things they can do. They get to see how high they can jump as a NFL player. They get to kick simulated field goals. They get to do all these different interactive things, and they have a tour guide going through explaining different things to them. And then they get to see the Super Bowl trophies as a little extra, and they get to see the Super Bowl rings. The second part, they actually get to walk through the stadium alongside the field, which the kids were in awe of, which may not sound like a big thing, but they were very excited. And then they go in and they put into small groups, and they have to like package uniforms and stuff for the Patriots players. So they have to pick a size extra large helmet and certain shirts, and they have to estimate and have a group leader, and they have to estimate the box size and the shipping costs, and they have to do all that together. And they really see how math plays out and how they used it, and that they get to have a lot of fun with it, and they got to achieve their goal to see who was the closest to what their estimates were. And the kids really, really enjoyed this. The third one is Snap Crackle Pop, and it's also a grant submitted by Katrina Parker with the 4th grade team. It's a presentation of the Museum of Science Traveling Science Program. It's on electricity and magnetism. It is also a hands-on program with the kids. They use high-tech equipment, and they explore voltage, resistance, current, and magnetism. They basically set up so that they'll show the kids how your hair sticks up straight, how they can use electric current, like holding several people's hands and show the current. And the presentation also covers the curriculum, one of the curriculums that they use for 4th grade. And it's a different one that the kids generally struggle more with, so they said that by having this program, it really helps the kids to get the visual, to see it, and to experience it, and it really helps. And congrats, thank you.
Good evening, I'm Michelle Christian Oldham, and I have 3 grants to present tonight. The first one is the Green Wave Gazette, which I am so excited to be able to present this one. As Jim Dorman mentioned earlier, the Green Wave Gazette is the Abington High School student newspaper. The newspaper provides students an opportunity to write and get published, and they also learn what it takes to produce a newspaper. Many readers see all the great things the students are writing about, including the many activities happening at Abington High School. This is such a great thing to keep going. It gives our students a chance to express themselves with creativity and talent, and it touches such a wide audience where everything's online now. It's just such a great thing. And as Jim mentioned earlier, that many things were possible. I wrote for my high school newspaper. It was Stone Soup, and in January, that story that I wrote is going to be a children's book coming out in January. And the next project, the next grant, is the freshman orientation. It was presented by Sarah Bowman and Peter Serino and the U-Lead advisors. The U-Lead program is an organization that promotes model decision-making and actions in the community. One of the things that U-Lead does is the freshman orientation program. And the U-Leaders first meet with the freshmen during their 8th grade year to begin building relationships. In August, the U-Lead leaders plan, organize, and implement freshman orientation, welcoming freshmen to Abington High School. Following the orientation, U-Lead leaders plan a follow-up assembly in addition to creating videos, handouts, and address other questions or concerns that freshmen may have throughout the year. And what I really liked about this, personally, my son's going to 9th grade next year, and he even said the other day, he said, I'm kind of nervous about going to high school, and to them it's not just another first day of school, it's a big transition, so this orientation is great. This will make them feel comfortable. And the last project is Top Secret Science from Laura Johnson in grade 5, Woodsdale. The goals of this project are to improve student learning and interest level in science. This project will contribute to student learning by instilling a very high level of enthusiasm and inquisitiveness about science and high technology. This will excite children to learn by opening their minds and increasing their interest to further learning in the future. Science is a fascinating adventure of fantastic discoveries and imagination investigation that affects us every day. And this, I know personally, my twin girls were in 5th grade last year, and they love this. They just had a great time learning, and it's a great project. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dave Kinneberg, and I have 3 children in the Abington school system. So I'd just like to take a minute to thank all of you. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to research all these great projects, taking the time to submit the grants, and I'm proud to be part of this to help you bring these great projects to our children, these opportunities. I have 3 grants to present also. The first one is for the Ferolio Middle School, submitted by Diana Flaherty, and the project title is the Bamadel Dancers. I'm going to read you a little bit about it. The first week in March is International Week in Massachusetts. During this week, the Ferolio will celebrate cultural diversity and foreign languages. As part of our 3rd consecutive International Week at Ferolio, we would love to invite the internationally acclaimed Bamadel dancers and drummers. The Bamadel dancers perform celebratory dances, rhythms, folklore, and songs from West Africa, Brazil, and the Caribbean. This lively interactive program would be a great way to kick off our week and link what students have learned in 7th grade history and geography classes with music and dance. I was all for this one because there's something about a live performance that I just feel the students, they just don't get from a textbook. I think it's awesome that these kids can take what they've learned in class and then actually get to see it in person and experience it. I think it also gives them an appreciation and a better understanding of these foreign cultures also. So I thought that was a great idea. My second grant is for the Abington High School. It is submitted by Dr. Elizabeth Gonzalez, and the project title is the Word Right Challenge. The Word Right Challenge is a national reading competition for students in grade 9 through 12 that requires analytical reading of many kinds of style and poetry. It emphasizes perceptive interpretation, sensitivity to language, and an appreciation of style. Students receive in advance study lists for complex readings in poetry, fiction, and nonfiction, and take brief, focused, multiple choice tests. High scores are acknowledged, and there have been more than 54,000 students from some of the best public and private high schools in 46 states participated last year. What I liked about this one, not only it's a great way to get the students to learn new literature and vocabulary, it does it in a fun and challenging way for them. I think it also gets the students involved, and it's a great tool for them to help prepare for their PSATs and SATs. So I thought that was a great idea too. My last grant is for both Abington High School and the Ferolio Middle School, and it's also submitted by Dr. G, and the project title is Very Open Mic Night. Open Mic Night began as a poetry reading event at the Abington High School and has expanded to include readings of original and favorite works of literature, as well as the performance of originals and covers by students and faculty. Friends and family have attended to support those who brave the microphone and leave amazed at the talent in our community that simply needs a venue at which to share their creative performances. Now, this is something I could have used in school. I feel this is a great opportunity for these students, not only to show off their talents, but to gain experience and confidence, which I feel they'll use throughout the rest of their lives. Great ideas. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Marlene Stevens, and I also have 3 grants. I just want to say the grants this year that were submitted were great. They were so well written, really easy to understand and grasp. Sitting here listening to everyone talk about the grants, and I'm sitting there going, oh, I love that one. Oh, that was a really good one. So, even though we just read these a couple of weeks ago, it's just, they were great this year. One that I have is the Having Fun with Pyramids and Pharaohs, which I think has been very well covered, so that one's all set. It's exhausting. The next one I have is for grade 6. It's a science enrichment program, and it's on motion, speed, velocity, and acceleration. This is a traveling program from the Museum of Science, and I think it's a great way for them to have more of a hands-on understanding of these concepts. To sit there and have this kind of a math problem to figure out what this is, it's kind of dry, and it's so much nicer if the kids can see something moving and have a better understanding, a grasp of what these concepts are. One of the examples that was given is that they get to watch a pencil accelerate to over 100 miles per hour. So it just gives them something different than here's the car that goes. It's a little bit different object. Hopefully no one loses an eye. So that's one project. The next grant that I have is for the 7th and 8th grade. It was submitted by Roseanne Kraposka. This one is called Joe the Biker, Anti-Bullying Presentation. I think everybody's been affected in some manner from bullying, whether they were bullied, they've witnessed bullying.
or they were a bully. What this program is that they have a speaker coming. He was bullied as a child. He was overweight, and they called him Yubby. So he has written a book, and it's titled Call Me Yubby. He comes in and he's going to speak to the students in the middle school. What he's going to kind of go over in his presentation is to define what a bully is, to give the warning signs when someone's being bullied, so they may pick up on a friend or a student who's being bullied, to give some different strategies and tools to try to stop that or prevent it from happening at all. He's also going to talk about what the long-term effects are of bullying. Because just like him, you know, this happened when he was young, and granted he's managed to turn it into a career and written a book. But for many, it doesn't go quite that well. So this is great. Yes?
I'd like to add that I've also been awarded a grant from the Abington Rotary Club for the purchase of 60 books, Call Me Yubby. And we're doing a school-wide read, so students are forming reading groups. And we will, every student and the adults in the building will be reading this book. So by the time Joe Wojcik comes to our school, students will have become familiar with him through the book, and they don't know he's coming to the school. So it will be fun in April, in between our MCAS tests, to have him show up and present and make me an author, and yet it has a strong message.
Yeah, that's great. That's nice to add to it as well. So we thought this was a great program, definitely relative to a wide array of students, I'm sure. So that's what I have. So thank you.
I have some more grants from Fort Campbell, whose car broke down. So the first one is the from the center school from Mrs. Hoyt for the kindergarten teacher, the center school music program, and the ever popular Toe Jam puppet band is coming to
Toe Jam puppet band, my favorite.
kindergarten and preschool. There'll be 2 shows for a total of 11 classes. And it's a very interactive, theatrical, fun, and kids who have had it still talk about it. So we were happy again to present that grant for center school. My next 2 grants are sort of related that Mrs. White also put in for the center school for the kindergarten, and it has to do with the center school kindergarten STEM science program, and one of them is from the Children's Museum in Easton. And so even in pre-K and kindergarten, they're applying the framework and trying to get, Mrs. Hoyt went to a conference where they talked about getting more science into that level, into the very beginning grades. And so one of the things, this grant would be called, it's called Fun with Science, and they bring a selection of the teacher's favorite science activities, and it builds fundamental scientific principles to strengthen budding young scientists through experimentation. So I think they're going to do creative, fun projects, and will inspire them and sort of contribute to the STEM curriculum that you're trying to achieve. And the second one is also related to the science, the STEM curriculum, and it's an animal program. And that would be with the ever-popular Joe's Crazy Critters. Joe's from Abington, and all the kids love him and love seeing and feeling and learning about the animals. And so that, again, is another program at Center School that will be presented this year.
I have to laugh when Kathy said that the students still talk about the Toe Jam puppet band. I still talk about it. It was awesome. You had to say the meeting, I went on and on. They're like, we'll approve it. So I have another member that couldn't make it. I have his grants to present. I'm going to do 2 at the same time. They're the Time for Kids for grade 5 and 6, presented, submitted by Christine Sullivan. And Mrs. Sullivan, do you want to talk about the Time for Kids, the magazine that they come into the classroom, correct?
Sure, it comes weekly, and the children get familiar with all the current events that they might not otherwise have been exposed to. It comes with follow-up activities that the teachers can do, and it's a great time for sharing and talking about how certain things apply as far as the environment and science, and it touches upon all aspects of the curriculum, math, science, social studies, and English language arts. So it's a very worthwhile program.
And we were questioning that because we couldn't believe that it did come weekly, but I know I definitely read my kids when it comes home. And that we've done that for our grades 5 and 6. And then the last grant is the overview of a child life in colonial America, grade 5 teachers. I'm scanning the crowd. And it is, this is one that we've done for a while too, Bay Colony educators. And it's, I think I did do this with one of my children's. I was in the classroom with it, but it's Tim and Carol Green, who've been coming 20 years from Massachusetts, and they come into the classrooms and they lecture on all aspects of the child's life in the 1750s. It includes clothing, family chores, responsibilities, education, and discipline. I think I do definitely remember my children coming home talking about the discipline that the children had. And part 2, they focus on the life as a young adult, and emphasis on cooking, hygiene, illness, and surgery. And they do a mock visit to a courthouse trial. And so that's always, I know, a popular grant, and we get a lot of feedback from the students on that one. So I think that's the end of our presentations of grants. At this time, I would like Superintendent Peter Schaefer to come on up. I invite him.
Thank you, Maureen, and thank you to members of the board, and thank you for everyone who came tonight for the meeting. You know, as I sit and I listen to the proceedings, you know, I think about 3 things, and that's the mission, the people, and the program. And the mission of the Abington Education Foundation has always been the same. And I'm very proud because when I meet with my colleagues and they talk about foundations in different towns, Abington's works in a way that's superior to other communities around us. It's really the envy of foundations, and it's the way a foundation should be run. And I relate that to its mission because they stay true to their mission. But as I describe the Abington Education Foundation to my colleagues, it's only as good as the people who are running it. And we have superior people who have taken on this tremendous mission and this responsibility, and it's with great appreciation that I want to recognize them. We also have great people in terms of our staff, which was noted earlier, who are writing for these grants and seeing these grants through. And in the end, as I mentioned, it'll get to program, and it provides the program for our children that we want and we need to provide to them. Because we wouldn't be providing these programs any other way. And although it's about the mission and the people and the program, it's all about the kids, and the kids. Because they're the ones who benefit the most from all of these experiences. So, you know, when I listen to the story about an Egyptologist, or Chris Herron in the Shelby Rules presentation that's coming, or the Green Wave Gazette, the suicide prevention, or any of the offerings, and I apologize, I'm not going to obviously mention them all, you just did, but they're all curricular in purpose and exciting, or they address life, health, and safety of our students. And so that's doing right and good in the world. And so I just want to thank everyone for that, the members of the board, the leadership, and then our teachers and our administrators who provide the grant writing and then see this through for the kids at the schoolhouse. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter. And same thing, we want to thank the staff for submitting these grants. And I also need to thank the community that comes out and supports us, supports our fundraisers, donates to our foundation. If it wasn't for them, we would not be here. So I need to give a big thank you to the entire community that supports. That ends it for this evening. I know that Shelby's alcohol presentation is coming this Friday, September 20th. And I think it's coming to the high school, but my understanding is it's also going down to the Frollo too, which I think is amazing. So Frollo doesn't need to come to them, the people are coming to the Frollo. And I know a few of us have taken the day off of work to see it. So again, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight, and please help yourself to food. Thank you very much.
Everything's good over here. Good old Woods Bravo.
You're gonna live.
That's right. Yeah, I heard your things about more yeah, I saw her yesterday. Yeah.